For today's session, we're going to be looking at the true definition of success. Because coming from the growth mindset, we need to ensure that we embrace the true meaning of success. I observe in life that whatever meaning that you apply to what success is going to determine your trajectory. It's going to give you the kind of attention you will give to your progress. So that's why throughout this week, what we're going to be looking at has to do with traction, tempo. That's the T factor of the growth journey. Okay, we want to look at traction. What are those things that will enable you to gain traction, to gain momentum? Because you might think that you are progressing, you are growing, whereas you are stagnant, like we discussed 2 days ago. And of course, part of what I shared with you yesterday in terms of the lessons we've learned. So growth has to be shown in progress. You know, you have to show that you are progressing, you are moving. And it's not just going to be by confession, it's not going to be by words of mouth. There has to be evidential relevance, you know, to your growth. So everything I'm going to be talking about this week are what's going to bring evidences, you know, the relevance that you have applied to your growth. We've talked about the work. So how is the work reflecting into traction and showing progress, gaining momentum, tempo? So that T stands for traction and tempo. And the first subject, the first thing we need to quickly address is success, because one of the major driver to how you accelerate the level by which you move in life, how you progress, has to do with your definition of success. So we want to look at how you have come to terms with success, how you have come to understand success. Is it by building empires? Is it by having a lot of money stacked, stored, and heaped in the grave, under the ground, in buckets, in your bank account, or those titles? You know, some of us, we love titles so much, you know, starting from Mr. up to the most elevated titles. So people even kill because of these things. So we need to understand what true success means. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. So let me ask you, I mean, this is us now engaging. And I would like candid response from us. What do you think true success really means? What do you think true success really means? Or anytime you hear the word success, what comes straight to your mind? I would like us to respond. What do you think true success means? Chris, you're welcome. So, well, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Flashadi.
Okay. Well, I think
Sir.
for me, success is you wake up each day feeling a good level of fulfillment. Um, and that includes enjoying just waking up, enjoying anything that you're doing. It doesn't have to be any particular thing that you're doing, but you have a level of fulfillment, and it kind of shows in how you interact with people. You're just kind of a joy to be around because you feel fulfilled.
Interesting. So you're saying for you, success means when you feel some level of joy, fulfillment, having interacted with people, even without having some level of payment, or you don't have money in your account, you don't have food on your table, you know, or perhaps you're even sick, you know, but you just have joy. You have some sense of fulfillment. That's how you define joy. I mean, sorry, success. Interesting. Interesting. Someone else, what comes to your mind when you think about success? Or how would you explain to someone what true success is? If I tell you my own.
Sir, did you just ask me?
Yes, please.
my God. Okay, I just stepped in. Anyways, good evening, everyone, from Africa to Freetown to be precise. So, uh, success. I pick one word from Doctor fulfillment. The second word I will pick will be contentment. So it is that meeting point of fulfillment and contentment where you get to do the things you do, not necessarily because of the abundance, but because you just feel that each day comes at a time and you continue to navigate the path that you've decided to go. So contentment meets fulfillment. That is my take for success.
Hmm. You two have brought up something else. I just hope that you guys have not seen my slide. So Dr. Shadi has spoken about fulfillment and joy. Now you are talking about contentment. Because if you look deeper into what
Let me laugh
contentment,
today.
okay, you say something, Chris?
No, I said we're good to go, sir. We're not seeing your slide, but we are students of GPO. So
Okay.
no problem. Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting when you look at this, not just on the face value, because sometimes you can just make some proclamation, or especially when you are so vast with motivation speaking, or you hear a lot of motivational talks, some of these things just get to your head. It goes beyond that face value. You have to look at how much you relate with it. When you're talking about contentment speaks to, even when you are undervalued, when you are less motivated, right? There is something that brings a serious urge from within you that gives you that level of settlement, and you are okay, right? Someone is cheating you right before you, and you are just okay. Rather than you giving in to fight. Some people will say, oh, you are just dulling yourself. Go fight, go hustle, but you are just okay. Rather than you trading off all your values, you just need to uphold, your values. And, that's the real meaning of contentment. And that is why the scripture says that contentment, righteousness with contentment is a great gain. So these are deep subjects, hidden under success. And I want us to unravel all these things so that we have, an holistic mindset around what facilitates the process of our progression in this journey. Then I would like one more person to just give his or her own perspective to this. Okay, Favor, you said you will add positive legacy to the list, when you are thinking about good success. So you are talking about legacy. Okay, well, you will see how I've actually put all this thing into a serious mind frame. Because remember when I was emphasizing to you a few days ago about a snake that passes through a rock that never leaves behind its traceable mark of identity and indelible impact, right? So this is exactly what you're talking about. So legacy doesn't necessarily mean that you are actually spending money or you have a title. Anybody, I'm still going to emphasize this when we get there, anybody has the capacity to leave indelible mark in the sand of time. Every human. And that is exactly what you're here for. Otherwise, each step you take along the pathway of your journey, I mean, you've taken how many steps now? About 28 steps, including to the 29 steps. What kind of mark do you think you have left in the sand of time? Because you're spent 28 days unknowingly or unknowing to you, right? At the end of the day, you will have spent about 40. So imagine if you look back and you see those 40 steps, what is it going to look like for you? And let me just give you an insight into what your final assignment is going to be like. You see, each of those 40 steps, you are going to put a summary to watch what each of the steps mean to you. Just imagine you have 40 points, right? So each of the point, what does it mean to you? And what can you create out of it? Imagine you have 40 Rubik's cubes of a particular Rubik, okay? Or you have 40 sides of a cube and you are meant to use it to form an object. So what object do you think each of those points are going to form to you? Or you have 40 puzzles, part of a puzzle that makes a picture. So what is that big picture that a 40 puzzle is going to make for you? So that's going to be your final sign, because I want you to have that big picture going out of this journey. Okay, so let's start. For me, I'm going to define true success starting from establishing the fact that it begins all with your purpose. There's no way you can explain success to me that will make sense if you are not bringing in the subject of your purpose, because that becomes the major point of reference for your definition. Purpose underscores the definition of success. And this is what I mean. Every definition or every aspect of your definition must have strict alignment with what your purpose is. So you see across each of the skill sets, each of the subjects, the principles that we have touched on, I keep emphasizing on strict alignment with purpose. And we're talking about emotional intelligence, we're talking about you building rapport, we're talking about you building trust, we're talking about relationship, everything we have talked about, they are all focused on purpose. So there is no way you want to define success without emphasizing on your purpose. So if by this time you have not come to understand what your purpose is, that means it will be very, very difficult for you to have a true definition to what success means to you. You will just be testing everything. And some have said happiness, some have said fulfillment, some have said positive legacy. Another person will say several other things that they think it means. These are just offshoots. They're just offshoot from your purpose. And you need to also be careful, because sometimes in life, success may not reveal itself to you in form of happiness. Would you say you are not still successful? Sometimes success may not reveal itself to you in terms of you achieving some level of fulfillment, because fulfillment has levels. Okay, fulfillment has levels. We'll still look at this, hopefully. But just know that the main definition, or what you should take as a offshoot, what premised the real true definition of success, has to be your purpose. So that's why I used to tell people that success becomes a subjective matter, because what you tend to be successful to you might be different from the way I perceive success, because we are not running on a competitive race. If life is to be a competition, then we'll say we're going to have a generalized meaning to what success should be. Meaning that if everybody will have to aspire to be a king of a domain, or a king of a city, or the president of a nation, then that means that until you have attained that title or you have attained that position, you are not successful. If we are going to generalize the definition of success, it means if you have not assumed and reached the level of your career to become a PhD holder, or you become a professor, you understand, then that means you are not successful. But that is not what success means, because success is fixed on purpose. So what your purpose is what will determine the definition you're going to give to your success. And that's what true success means. Then the other one, which we now begin to look at offshoot from this, has to do with how you drive impact. Okay, how you drive impact. These are very, very important. And let me mention these, that when you're talking about impact, impact sometimes might be immaterial. Impact might be very intangible, might be something that you cannot measure in the sand of time. If you look at the way, I mean, sometimes when you say certain words and someone feels so blessed, as in you speak graceful words and someone feels so blessed, someone feels inspired, how do you feel? And you see the need for you to do more of that, how do you feel? Or maybe you've said so many things and someone just come afterwards, it's because of that thing that you told me. See what has come out of my life. How do you feel? You said those things not necessarily because the person paid you to make those utterances or to speak those words, or even the subtle prayers you pray interceding for other people, and their life got transformed or changed as a result. These are streams of impact. These are channels through which you establish impact. Okay? Then you can now look at the material aspect of your impact. Someone pays you to deliver a service and you deliver it satisfactorily. Okay. Or even in your job, in your career, things you are meant to do, and you do it with all sense of duty in order for you to drive value. Don't forget, we've dealt with these things, how you drive value on a consistent basis, on a continuous basis. So these are ways by which you can, how you change and transform the lives of people. You move into an environment, you move into a society, you transform and positively change that society for good. This is what impact means. So you can't afford to be somewhere and your presence is not felt in terms of level of impact, and you don't necessarily have to make it public. That's why I mentioned about the issue of interest. It might just be that in a subtle way, in your own little way, in your closet, you are praying on a consistent basis. It's one of the easy way by which you can drive impact. Nobody's seeing you, and the Bible says, he that sees in the secret will reward you also in the secret. So it's not about you doing all those public show. They must see you. You must always be present here. You must always have those titles. They must give you position. They must give you award. It's not the shortfall, or it's not the outcome of, success is not as an outcome, or the level of impact is not as an outcome of those things. So we need to be careful and be guided, because many will seek for those public recognition. Many will seek for those position and those affairs as it were, thinking that that's the best way by which they can drive impact. So that is not how you define success. It goes way, way beyond that. And sometimes those pursuits might even be limitations to you, because once you put yourself in the public, you already created some kind of barrier and constraint and restraint to yourself, because you then bring public relations management into your life. You see the way some of our leaders are trying to remain private, even in holding public positions. It's not going to happen. They will say they don't want people to know what their medicals are. They don't want people to know all their. No, once you are holding a public position, you become a public affair. So, and it limits the way by which you can drive impact, because it's going to be so contained and controlled. It's going to be well dictated. Imagine where you are not even in the eye of the public. You can elaborate and widen the horizon of how you can achieve impact. The other offshoots from purpose has to do with growth. And there are several ways from everything we have learned in terms of growth principle, the growth mindset. There are several ways by which you can define growth, starting from yourself and also, expanding your growth mindset to other people in such a way that there is no one that should be around you that should not be impacted. It's like growth becomes infectious. It's an infection that must be able to flow from within you to other people. Everyone that come across you should be able to have that level of impact of what is happening within you. I remember when we were doing biology in secondary school, and they were teaching us about different organisms. What happens within organisms. You see the movements of elements, elements in nature and all of that. You have different characteristics that necessitates growth, or that ensures growth in life. So all of these things must be able to, you must prove them, you must show them as living proof, of things that are happening within your life. As such that if you are not growing, if you are stagnant, like we mentioned yesterday, then you cannot talk about success. You can't just remain in the same position. There are some people, some of your colleagues, that you graduated from school like 2 decades ago, 1.5 decades ago, 1 decade ago. By the time you meet them, you imagine that they are still at the level where you left them a decade ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So those kind of people cannot define success on their own terms. Then you move away from that, you see another dimension that talks about creating balance. In fact, this week we are going to, talk more about this. I think it's this week, talking about traction, we're going to talk more about this, because you need to ensure that you get to a point in life where you have that rhythm, you have that control, full control of your life, and we call it balance. where you have everything in sync. When I counsel people, young people, and they are complaining, imagine people that have not even started life at all, and they're already complaining about how they are struggling in this, finding it very difficult to get involved in some other areas of passion that they think they're supposed to be driving their growth and all of that, singularly because of their struggle and stress in their career in this. I'm like, okay, understandable. But imagine by the time you move into the next phase of your life, how are you now going to cope? I mean, now you're not married, you don't have no kids that you're nursing or you're raising, you don't have a business as an entrepreneur yourself that you're managing. So by the time all these other realities come into your life, how are you now going to cope? So if you want to define success, how the ability, your capacity, and your capability in terms of your competency in managing all these streams of your life. You see those dimensions that you defined weeks ago, how you're able to have a full control, how you're able to have full control without you being swept off your feet, without you being thrown off cliff, also defines the trajectory by which you define and underscore success. So someone should not come and tell me he's failing in this area, failing in that area, failing in that area. Even if you have all the money in this world, I'll tell you, the rich also cry. And many of these rich people, you can't envy them. By the time you move very close to them and you see some dimensions of their lives, it's just, their life is not just enviable. You can't just envy them. You will now remember why David will say that God should not give him such riches, that will get, his wisdom out of his life, So areas of contentment now comes in. So these are some of the things that you now begin to see coming out of your approach or your attempt into getting balance. You need to embrace righteousness. You need to embrace contentment. You have to have self-control, all of these things. But how you are able to grip and lay hold of full control of your life also going to define success for you. So whether you have money, you don't have money, right? It's going to determine success. Then you talk about happiness. It's also a very important offshoot. But I'm going to leave this for us to see how to now begin to look at each of these subjects in details. So let's start with purpose. If I will ask you, by now you must have defined, again, if you have done that assignment, you must have defined clearly what your purpose is. Because with your purpose, you can then begin to envision what your journey will look like before you set your goals. Because the vision precedes your goal setting. You must have a vision statement, your mission. Then you begin to now set goals per time or across different phases, like projects. Okay. So understanding that purpose and being driven by purpose on a daily basis is the fundamental foundation, is the main foundation to your true success. Okay. Let me ask you this question. I'm sure that many of us would have, moved across different paradigms in life. Imagine what you're doing currently. Just think about it, whether, whatever job or whatever part of way of career, or if you are running a business. Imagine as a businessman, someone comes to you and demands for a service that he's not going to pay for. Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be joyful? Are you going to find a redeem, that balance? Are you going to, do you think you will have the guts? Do you think you will have the drive, the motivation? Do you think you are going to have the level of understanding to still work at the same level to deliver the service to the person, or you work the person out? Just think about it. What is going to be your true inspiration to still go ahead to deliver the service without pay? Just think about it. Just think about it. Just think about it. I'm sure that you must have heard about what they call pro bono. How many of us don't know what pro bono is? PROBONO. Pro bono. Or who can explain what pro bono means? Anyone? I hope you are following me.
A lawyer
Yeah, go
standing in
ahead.
for
Sorry?
Governor is it's usually for lawyers standing in for people that can't afford them their services.
Ah, Okay, so it's a legal term, right?
Yeah.
And it's used oftentimes by lawyers. Okay, okay. What about you, Dr. Shade? What's meaning of pro bono?
Well, you have a certain talent, skill, or expertise, and someone is in need of the service and can't afford it. Um, and so you offer to assist them for free of charge
Hmm.
or
I
free.
love that.
Mhm.
I love that. Very, very simple. Offer service for free of charge. Either is a legal work, either is a secretariat work, either is whatever it is, you are offering service for free of charge. The question I'm asking is, what do you think will be your true motivation? Because we are defining success here. What do you think is going to be your true motivation for you to go ahead to offer services for free of charge? Ab initio, even if you are going to be paid in virtually, but what will be that drive that is not going to be on the terms of, oh, let's have an agreement so that I'm not being cheated? That even when you are being cheated upon your remuneration, you're still going to have the drive, you're going to have the level of motivation in order for you to pursue the service delivery. This is what purpose means. Like I said, when we're defining purpose, when we're talking deeply about purpose, if you have forgotten some of these things, you have to go back to watch the video on the YouTube channel. I told you, nobody can pay you for your purpose. Trust me, nobody. Each time I think and remind myself about purpose, I will just laugh at myself because I don't know how much value I want to place on it. I don't know how much value I want to place on it. Nobody can pay you to fulfill your purpose. Nobody. Except you don't know your worth. Except, because that's just going to be the only exception, except you don't know your worth. Except. And the earlier the better you come to terms with this reality, then you not continue to change yourself and think that you continue to pursue that so-called career, that it will only take time for you to determine that this is not where your fulfillment lies. This is not what's going to give you balance in life. This is not what is going to give you the level of impact you want to drive. Or how much you are able to do things that people will not even pay you for. Then you will able to get deeper understanding and inspiration for you to pursue when you are even being paid to do things. So you see what I mean when I'm talking about true success. Because when you now begin to simplify all the actions in driving towards true success, you see that it will even require you to always go extra miles. It will require you to always be different. When everybody is thinking in the direction of A, you are thinking in the direction of A plus AX, because X now seems to be, the well definition of genius, or seems to be the true definition of success now. You can't operate at the level of A. It has to be at the level of AX. Before it used to be A plus, but it's now AX. Extraordinary. You have to move in an exponential manner. So it has to be AX. So think about it. And nobody will pay you to do extra. Nobody. Nobody will pay you ab initio. Nobody. There's no agreement you will draft and they will tell you that, oh, you must always, go plate. You must always do extra. Nobody will do that. So it has to come from your understanding of purpose, because you are driving towards excellence. So this is very important. So I will summarize, how you embrace your purpose from the perspective of leadership, because there is nobody. Please take note of all these, profound statements I'm making, because this should resonate so well with you that you won't forget. There is no one that is purpose driven that does not emerge as a leader at whatever level in life. Some, they will have been seeing the pattern of leadership right from when they're young, because they see and understand their purpose. As simple as someone that started singing at age 8, age 7, or someone that started to do a recurring pattern, taking a consistent action towards certain, pathway of inspiration. You see the principles of leadership, everything we've discussed about effective leadership. You see everything emanating from the life of the person. It's not because the person is going to be entitled as a leader, but the person will emerge. The person is going to always transform and transit into leadership. Everywhere you go, you will have, it's just going to be, it's going to become your disposition. You are going to be recognized not by position, not by entitlement, but by your relevance, evidential relevance, your track records, those legacies you're going to be leaving behind because you are driven by purpose. Imagine when you see someone doing excellent works that is not being paid for. How will you put the person in terms with the person that you are paying to do the same work? How be it excellent or not excellent? Who do you think you will prefer at the end of the day? This is just simple logic in life. You are paying someone to do something for you. He's doing it perfectly well, perfectly well. And here's another person that you're not paying and he's also doing it perfectly well. Which one will you prefer at the end of the day? As human being, you want to keep your money and stick to the person that is doing it that you're not paying. That is just a simple thing about leadership. And that's why we say that the best form of leadership is the one that drives towards selflessness, not the one that is self-driven or has in it all element of self-interest. You see why our leaders are failing? Because their orientation and mindset about leadership is about what they can get. And then you can easily tell that these people are not truly fulfilling purpose. So it's very, very important. I can see someone is asking whether we are recording. Yes, this has been recorded. So let's move away from there. So don't forget, when you're thinking about leadership, I mentioned this also emphatically when I was telling you about emotional intelligence. There is no way you will develop high EQ because this is an essential path, a critical principle that you need for you to pursue your purpose. There's no way you will move at that level of EQ that you will not emerge as a leader, not because of entitlement, not because of assignment, just because you are a man or a woman on mission, a woman or a man on mission, a missionary. So there is definitely going to be every streams by which you're going to reveal yourself as a leader. Okay, let's see the second one. The second one talks about your legacies. Talk about how you are creating streams of impact. The question you're going to ask yourself, including the things that you are being paid for and the ones you are not being paid for. How are you creating impact? Listen to what Pablo Picasso, I don't know how many of you have read about Pablo Picasso. See what he said. He said the meaning of life is to find your gifts, your talent, what distinguishes you, what separates you, even from your twin, if you are a twin. I mean, if you're twins, you have the Tai and the Kende, or you're triplets, you have the Dowu joint. What separates these three elements in nature? What separates these people, including those ones that they are called Siamese twins? What separates them is not the biological process, it's not the medical process, of their separation, but is the level of inherent ability, what we call gift or talent. The level of inherent ability and talent that they are able to translate into action. Your talents, your gifts are more like kinetic energy. Potential energy. So how do you transfer that into working energy is very, very important. And there is a great dichotomy between potential energy and kinetic energy. I'm sure you can still remember physics. Okay. We say that kinetic energy is energy that you need to perform, energy in motion, right? According to Newton's law, is energy in motion. You need it to perform, to carry out actions. Okay, it's something that you achieve based on maybe your acceleration or the level of friction that occurs out of reactions and all of that. It is the kinetic that defines your success, not the potential. Like what late Dr. Miles Morrow said of blessed memory. He said, when you go to the graveyard, it happens to be the richest place on earth. The richest place on earth is the graveyard. Guess why? Simply because that's where you find the largest number of untapped potentials. Potentials that never worked out, that people never explored. That's the richest place, not where you have gold mines, not where you have diamond mines. Is where you have humans that have been buried 6 feet down the grave or down the natural ground level or earth crust, right? That's where you have the richest place on earth. So I hope you are not going to add to that statistics because like he said, you need to die empty. So all those giftings, the talents, again, aligning strictly with your purpose so that you are not deceived by what you perceive to be potentials that you need to turn into kinetic. And this is where many people get derailed. It's not everything that you think seems like your interest so much, to the point that in the past growing up, I learned how to play musical instruments. I love football. Used to play a lot of football. But some of these things I need to begin to question them, put them in view of purpose. Do I really want to emerge? Talking about excellence, talking about impact, all these things that defines what true success is. Like I mentioned to you, you have to begin to look at each of these gifts from that perspective, right? And I then decided that, okay, I mean, this is just for my leisure. I play football because of leisure and all of that. As you grow, you begin to understand what's supposed to be your priority. You remember what I mentioned about prioritization, how you manage time, and all of that. So I began to discover that, okay, I mean, no matter how much I know how to play this instrument, A, B, C, D, it can be the priority, right? Then what are those other gifts and talents I have within me that I need to prioritize above all these other things, you know? So that is how you are going to kind of like leverage on your gifts, and your gift will not become a derailment, will not become a misfortune to you, because to many young people, to many young professionals, even now adults, this is how they become easily derailed. And trust me, whatever gift, like I used to tell people, especially in the music industry, all you just need to do is come out, even with your cracked voice, come out and just start clinging, bell and all of that, whatever it is, without no lyrics, you always have followers. Trust me, you always have followers. Sing nonsense, sing jargons, immoral things, and all of, you always have followers. The world is so big, 8 billion people, trust me, and the world keeps growing. So the sky is so big to contain all nonsense. It's so big to contain all things. So don't be deceived when you think you are gaining, pseudo relevance and pseudo traction. And that is why popularity, what is popular, does not mean that that is what is right, because everybody, the whole population can be wrong, can be going in the wrong direction. And God help you, when you follow popularity, you can get wrong. So that's why it's all about traction, because traction talks about impact. As you take each step, as you're progressing, you are moving, is relevant, is evidentially relevant to your purpose, and you are leaving impact behind you. So for me, using your gifts, your talents, how you would know whether you are moving in the direction of fulfillment and purpose, and you can define success, is when you are making tangible impact, intangible impact, leaving legacies in the sand of time. And you will always stand out. Even in the little things you do, you will always stand out of the multitude. It might just be that you writing. Remember I told you my experience when I served. Just my Gothic writing signature is what stood me out of over 1,000 COP members. And that has never left me. Rather, it became a motivation for me. And it's not necessarily that I'm using even handwriting to make money and all of that. I remember for quite a long time, anybody that wants to write on certificates, some of my friends will call me, and I will help them to use my Gothic handwriting, to write on the certificate for them. At a point in time, I have to start using calligraphy pen too. And I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Let's move to the next one. The other one talks about the growth, which I explained the other time. And here, I'm not going to dwell so much, because remember everything we discussed when we're talking about continuous learning. You committing to lifelong learning, because you need to continually build on your capacity. And here's the secret about continuous learning: is going to establish the real understanding you have about growth mindsets. There's no other way you can explain to me or any other person that you have growth mindsets, other than the fact that your knowledge and your experiences are current. For instance, if I come to class today or this session and I ask you some questions about what has happened in this country today, just today, and you don't have a clue, for me, you are not growing. And that's exactly what it means. Because how then do you think if you are given opportunity, you can solve the problem of today? So you see that it doesn't just matter the fact that you have
Hello?
not taking. You see those professors that taught. Okay, I knew I went off a while. Please let me know where you stop hearing me from. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You were
When
talking
did you stop
about,
hearing me?
and you said if we're not able to say what happened today, we're not going.
Okay. So you didn't hear about the professor. So I mean, if you are not current with information, because these are part of what precipitates your continuous learning, your desire, your interests in being current about trends. If you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you need to know the market trends, things that are happening on a daily basis, not because you are seeking for bad news. Unfortunately, most of the things you are going to be seeing out there are bad news, right? But that's not your preoccupation. That's not your desire in learning new things. As much as you have a lot of bad news, there are still good news out there. So your skill in searching for truth and meaning, essence that will help you to grow, because you will then grow towards positive direction. When you feed more on negative news, you are going to grow towards negative, because all of these things are going to be helping your mindset. Each time I see technology, I'm not reading the evil or the negatives or the cons of rather I'm reading the positive things about technology, and that will give me better drive for me to learn more and utilize it for my own advantage. So these are the things that you need to also understand when it comes to success. How much you are giving to this, it will always stand you out. So you see that all these things are connected. You can't stay away from learning. You can't stay away from upskilling and retooling yourself and think that you're going to remain relevant. It's not possible. You won't be able to solve the new challenges that is emanating from whatever area or dimension of life that as simple as even in terms of spiritual things. When you stop receiving knowledge, either revelational knowledge or divine inspiration, divine intuition, or even the ones that are written in terms of logos, when you stop studying the word, there is no way you can be relevant to what God is doing in this current time. So I'm just saying these are across board so that you know that it's not just, I'm not just talking about your operation within your career or in your relationship or in all dimensions of life. To define success, we need to remain relevant. There are new revelations, there are new things that are happening. How you are connecting to receiving those things and staying prompt on them is what's going to divide. So I call this the growth pattern, of what success truly means, right? Someone who has been a first class in secondary school up to university and now is working. I mean, when I engage first class students, I challenge them, even though I didn't finish with first class. I so much desire, but I never had first class. But many of them cannot catch up with my development, right? So I wouldn't say that they are more successful than I am. In fact, many of them will sit down when I'm speaking for them to listen to what I have to share in terms of knowledge, right? So, I mean, a very good example also is Wole Soyinka. I keep telling people this is a guy, I mean, this is a man now in his, I think he should be around, is it 85, 86? Can't remember, but I think he clocked 80 recently, right? This is a man that finished with third class in the same university I went to, right? He finished with third class. And that normally supposed to be the disgrace and I mean, it's supposed to just be something that will destabilize his life forever. But that became the launching pad for his life. The only Nobel laureate that Nigeria had ever produced. How come first class students were not the one that Nigeria will produce as Nobel laureate? So when we are talking about success, this is exactly what we mean. Okay, how you're growing, and how you have defined, your niche for yourself as you're growing. Then the other one talks about, the way you have control over things. And I will just summarize this simply in this way. We are still going to delve so much in it in one of the subsequent sessions, but let me just simply tell you the principle behind control. You see, all the dimensions of your life, you need to put everything inside the Venn diagram and see how the trajectory looks like. You have a converged circle, and inside that circle is you, is success, is your purpose. So which one moves towards the south? Which one moves towards the north? Which one moves towards the east? Which one moves towards the west? Which one moves towards the southwest, southeast? Those cardinals, depending on how many of those dimensions you've been able to define. If you define 8, that means you have 8 cardinals. As they project out, there has to be another outer circle, now a bigger circle. And that's where you have your influence, the control, because something must be able to reconverge them at a higher level. If care is not taken, as you are moving towards each of these trajectory, you are going to lose touch over yourself. I'll give you a very simple example. Someone is excelling, succeeding in the way people and this world tends to be success in his career, growing, making money, expanding business, doing this, all of that, and is going south. Please follow me carefully. It's going south because that's a tangent and around the circumference of self. The first circle is what I called you, success, yourself, right? And your purpose. So that first circumference, you are moving away towards the south, and that's your business, right? On the other hand, you have, your spiritual life as another dimension. It's not moving in that same south direction. It's moving across another circumference of yourself. Maybe it's moving towards the north, the other direction, 180 degrees away. If care is not taken, one will suffer from the other one. I mean, this is just the reality. That's why you see many people as Christians, maybe they will cut ties with from church. They will tell you, oh, it's all about business. First week, second week, third week. Before long, you just say, I mean, it's not new now. Every other person is doing it. From long, they'll cut away from fellowship too. Either it's all about business. And trust me, they are doing fantastic well. They have justification for doing all these things because it's about business growth, right? But they are growing tangentially away from other important dimensions of their life. So when we are talking about success, success is not just for you growing, not even about 2, not even about 3, holistically. See, when we're talking about reading, holistically, the same momentum, the same traction that you are gaining in your business. Is it the same traction you are gaining spiritually? Is it the same traction you are going in your relationship? Is it the same traction you are going in your financial life? In all ramifications. In all ramifications. And that's why I define this to be life balance. There must be a balance. Even in your health, there must be a life balance. That's why in 3 John verse 2, the Bible says, I wish above all things that you prosper in health. Even, you see the balance, that's a statement, even as your soul prospers. So prosperity is not just about you making the whole of the money. I would rather prefer to lose money than to lose my home. I would rather prefer to lose money than to lose God. I would rather prefer, and there are some people that will prioritize money above God. They will say, well, I mean, when I make the money, I'll come back to God. Unfortunately, many of them never had a second chance. Many of them never had a second chance. Like Timothy was talking to, Paul was writing to Timothy, warning him against, the mindset of people like Philetus, Emenos, who concerning the truth they've heard, and some, these are people that Demas, for instance, these are people that were his co-workers. He labored over them. He mentored them. He raised them. But they had this warped mindset, thinking that they can have it. Or you can't have your cake and you can't eat your cake and have it. He said concerning Demas, this one, he has loved the word and he has heard about the truth. So you need to be very, very careful. If you think you want to define true success, it's not about you creating imbalances in your life where you focus more on this area and you neglect this other side. And you think that you're going to you will have built all the empires and you just see that these other aspects that has failed is what will collapse everything. And that's why you see many rich people, they are living miserable life. You know, in fact, they are even in prison and enslaved in what they term to be their own success. But I'm sure that is not why you are embarking on this journey. Okay, and then you can now move into the other area that brings about joy. You know, you talked about that really, right? But joy is a consequence of all these other things that we've spoken about. It's a consequence. There are things that you must, that's why we say it's a progressive way of revealing what is inherent in you, right? How do you ensure that you are established in joy? How do you engage in life to the point that you can see the outflow, the overflow of joy in your life? Because that is what true success means. And when we are saying you are happy, you are joyful, it's not because you have all the money. In fact, many a times you don't even have money in your account and you are still happy. So money is not the source of your happiness, it's not the source of your joy. The sense of fulfillment that your purpose has not been tampered with, that you are still connected, that everything is intact in your life, is what will always give you the sense of joy. So if you ask me, joy is a mindset. Joy is not an outcome. It's not something that you see as a result of something that must have, it is a mindset. And how do I know that? When you go again into the scriptures, it said, even though the fig tree may not blossom, this is what Habakkuk said, even though the fig tree may not blossom. Do you know what it means? When you are planted, you've labored and someone cheated you from your harvest, from your remuneration. Do you know how bad that will feel like? I mean, how terrible you're going to feel at the end of the day. But in spite of this experience, in spite of this scenario, you still have joy within you. You still have the sense to rejoice over and over again, that you're not beaten, even though you may be pulled down, but you are not shattered. That is exactly what success means. That you're not allowing the devil, you don't need to wait for someone to cheer you up before you know that you are up and you are moving. You cannot be stopped. That is how I define joy. When you remain unstoppable, regardless of what you are facing in life. In fact, your life become a misery to people because they think that they have done everything to you, and yet you are not you are not expressing that you are. I mean, so just think about it. If that's the way you are moving in the direction in your life, do you always wait for someone to celebrate you? Do you always wait for someone to appreciate you when you have done things? Do you always wait for people to nudge you to do things? So think about it. Think about it. So don't forget, the point here is joy is a mindset. Is a mindset. So that when you have even failed, you will see the need for you to rejoice over your failure, because that's how you can defeat your enemy and those who are going to be your mockers, those that want to pitch, mockery around you because you have failed. But when they see you rejoicing, they will all walk away because they don't understand the mindset you have towards growth, that even your failure is a stepping stone for you to climb higher and do things better and come out. So someone that had a third class, it's just a matter of time before they see the person emerged as someone that is dominating and influencing, impacting the industry, and even end up employing them that also had first class. So you see the irony of life. So just to recap and then give you this simple way by which you can move to discover what true success is. The first thing is think over and over again about how you define success. If it doesn't emanate from the meaning and the discovery of your purpose, then it can't be true success. So when you are looking for true success, when you want to engage true success, make sure that you embrace it from the perspective of strict alignment with your purpose. And don't forget, when you're talking about your purpose, you're talking about your vision, you're talking about your core beliefs, you're talking about what you have accepted as your fundamental values, because these are the things that will continually drive your life, even if all other drivers are failing. When you think that money is what is driving you, when you don't get money, no matter how much you pursue, you are not going to feel depressed. You are not going to feel stressed. You are not going to feel disappointed. You keep moving. Then the other step is now for you to now set goals for yourself, because this will help you to be able to measure
You went out again.
my network is doing bad, but hey, we are not going to feel bad. So the first step is you are going to understand your purpose, live within the ambit of your purpose, let all those elements we define around purpose, your vision, your core beliefs, your value system, all of these things, let it be what drives you. Let them drive you on a consistent basis. And of course, set your goals and make sure you pursue your goals, not just anything in life. If you don't have a goal, is the more reason why you should not even set out to pursue anything until you have set your goals, so that you are not derailed. Because when you don't pursue something, what you are not pursuing will be what will pursue you. It's just like someone that goes to a market. If you don't know, have your market list of what you want to buy, you end up spending to buy what you don't even intend to buy at the end of the day, meaning that you don't have the mind of your own. Because people who will poach you, you have sales reps, you have marketers who will entice you and pull you off, target. I mean, this is how the world looks like, and that's why we call it a marketplace. So you need to be strategic, and to be strategic, you need to set goals and pursue and stay on the lane of your goals. Then you now begin to take measurements, because that is how you begin to refine your goals and determine how you are progressing, so that you don't think that you are moving while you are not moving, you are stagnant. Because many people think they are moving, they are not moving. It's just a matter of time you helping them. Just look at all the assessment we've done for ourselves. Look at all the assessments. I'm sure you have to rediscover yourself. You might think that you've gone past some of these things because you might have heard them. As subtle as those things are, there are things that you need to improve upon. And finally, anytime you know that, just like I told you that joy is a mindset, anytime you know that you have actually hit that point, that you know that, yes, this thing is success for me, at any point in time, make sure you give yourself a thumbs up. It's as simple as that. Sometimes when I'm writing some stuff, I remember, preparing some of these things and even trying to even imagine it. I had to scribble, because sometimes this is where I celebrate. I had to write anytime I'm happy and I'm joyful and all of that. I had to write, because I know if I don't, I will forget those things. Sometimes I'll just do a voice note and all of that. That's how I celebrate. So know how you will celebrate yourself. Know how you celebrate your wins, how you're going to celebrate your point of encounters. Okay, so it's in series, it's in beats, and that's what success means. Those encounters, those level of transformation that happen to you. Maybe you just finish a process of personal development, like this one, for instance. Each day you learn new things and you're happy. You see level of improvement on yourself. It's a success point. It's a success story, right? Document it. When you go online, you see several people with different success stories, different milestones in their life, because when they attain their goals, they achieve those things, you celebrate, whichever way you want to do that, right? So it's very, very important. And this is how you continue to build on that. Finally, success is a journey. So don't be deceived that success is just an attainment. No, it's not. Success is not just an outcome, because an outcome is like you end the project and then you see the product. No, that's not success. It's a journey. As such, that failure is a necessary element of success. A necessary element of success. I'm sure if you go to the grave and wake up Thomas Edison, he will tell you, having failed almost or over 1,000 times before he discovered the electricity principle, that we now have bulb and everywhere. And we are now even translated into having low energy bulbs, the one we called energy saving bulbs. So look at the progression and the transformation that has happened to that principle of electricity. The same thing, the law of physics, everything in physics, thermodynamics, law of motions, everything, aerodynamics too. So it's a journey, and every discovery, everything that you are realizing about yourself, you see that it's also a journey that you need, journey in terms of you need to keep improving on your outcome in order for you to begin to also establish greater impact on yourself, on people that will define greater reflection of your success. So don't think that because you've had A games in the past, you can still have AX games, AXX games, AXXXXX games, XXXX. I mean, that's how you keep. And that's what the Bible says in Proverbs 4:18. It said, the path of a righteous man shines ever brighter and brighter unto a perfect day. It's going to be like that. And that is how I know success to be. This particular scripture verse, I've held on to it for over 2 decades, and it has never left me. Proverbs 4:18 has never left me, because that is how you would define your pathway. You must never have a better yesterday. Nah, you must never have a better yesterday. And because of that, you must never make comparative analysis of your journey. Don't compare yourself. It's not about competition. Don't compare yourself. Otherwise, when you fail, you feel disappointed. You never say need to celebrate and rejoice and be happy, and then try again and do better and keep moving. Okay. So as Albert Schweitzer said, he says success is not the key to happiness, because happiness is a mindset. Rather, happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful. So you see, so it's not what you are doing that will make you succeed. It's because you love what you are doing. That's why you're going to succeed. So these things are just simple logic, which you and I need to embrace if at all we're going to do much more in life and achieve greater results. So these are just the simple things that I've applied to my life. Still applying. I keep telling people I'm not afraid of audaciously attempting things that I know we had more value to my progress, right? And I'm learning also on a daily basis. Of course, knowing the angle at which my trajectory in learning, poses. I don't just learn anything, and I will never claim to know it all. But the things that I'm focusing on, moving in that direction, I'm improving on a daily basis, learning them, right? That's why I told you nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect in this life, but you can't trust in the ability of God to help us put all those necessary controls in our lives in order for us to have the best version of ourselves and always have the true reflection from within, not from outside. Because anytime you look from outside, what you're going to be seeing are going to be the standards of the environment, of the marketplace, of the positions, the places where you are living as an individual. And as you move across different locations and different environments, you see different definitions to all these things. So I'm going to end here, and I would like you to have some feedbacks, questions, or if you want to give some kind of applications, some of these things I've established. Thank you. So again, what is true success to you? Oh, Joshua is in. So who is going to bail the cat out? You want to share some of your experiences on how you have, comes to terms with success, or you want to share a success story to see whether these are applicable. Has anybody failed before? And I'm saying, the simplest way you can define failure is exam. You've sat for an exam and you fail. Woefully, not just failing, like you narrowly fail. Narrowly fail. You failed woefully, having prepared so well, but you just failed woefully. Yeah, Dr. Shadeli, go ahead.
I think I shared my woeful fail stories probably earlier on in the class, but I remember a particular exam. This was the exam where they call it your qualifiers. So you would transfer from your master's level courses to your doctoral level courses. And so everyone in my cohort was sitting in this room, and I had petitioned the program some months in advance if they could present the exam to me in English. And so they said, "Oh, it's in review. We'll let you know." And I heard nothing. I kept inquiring, and it was like
you know, the day before the exam, and they were like, yeah, we weren't able to translate the exam, but we'll have a professor there. So if you have any questions. And, the exam was I was just sitting there looking at this exam, like, how am I going to do it? And so I kept getting up to go to the professor to ask her, what is this? What is this word? What is this word? And I remember one time going to ask, what is this word? And the professor said, that's another way to say bubble gum. And I said, oh my God. So long story short, um, obviously we haven't allotted time to do this, to do like a two-part write up, and I didn't even finish the exam, and so obviously I failed. And um, but the reason why I eventually passed the next year by God's grace, they had actually changed the format of the exam, and so it turned into um, we had to write a publishable paper basically. And so I could obviously write it in English. So by God's grace, the program just decided to change the format because they had been operating on that other style for some time. But the reason why I unmuted is because you reminded me of something. I'm editing someone's book right now, and I was telling my sister about it because she's like, "Oh, what have you been doing?" Because I'm not gainfully employed, but I've been doing, amongst your course, a lot of different things. So someone gave me a book to review and edit, and she's like, "Are you charging for it?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to charge this person, to edit this book." And she was like, going on about it, but you reminded me because I hadn't considered. I don't even think that ever even entered my mind to charge the person. But you reminded me that this is something that I just do. I love to read. I love to write, and I felt it was an honor and a privilege to be able to edit this person's book. But with that going, I can also see myself turning this into um, a gainful employment in the future. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to make those two comments.
Excellent. There's something I didn't mention because I think I've emphasized in the previous sessions. That's why I didn't really talk more about it, and that has to do with volunteering. When you're trying to seek for ways by which you can uh, make impacts, right? Volunteering is a very key area where you can do that, and you can also see it in form of a pro bono. That's why I asked if you know the meaning of pro bono. Pro bono sounds more official kind of service, like when you just say volunteer. I mean, people just think only in the direction of community service. No, even professionally, right? Professionally, pro bono is just is a form of volunteer service, right? It's a form of volunteer service. You're rendering your professional skills set. You're rendering your professional understanding, your knowledge, and solving problem without being paid on your own volition. On your own volition, nobody's going to coerce you. Nobody. You voluntarily decide to offer that as a support in order for you to make an impact, right? So this has been a major secret to people who are achieving success in life, who are attaining all these things I've explained to you. Very, very essential. Very, 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 very essential. Most of the people that I employ into my business now is one of the key criteria that I softly put there. You'll see it when I'm making advert or whatever. But when I'm conducting interview, I always seek for this. I want to be sure that the person who will get to be added to my team in one way or the other has an inclination or experience in volunteering, has an experience in determining pro bono, because by the time the business itself, what you're being paid for, require you to do extra work, require you to go extra miles, you should be able to have that mindset without any demand, right? Without any demand, you have that inclination. And the only way you can have it is if you have volunteering experience. Because when you are being paid to do something, if you have been exercising yourself over a period of time, doing things without being paid for, it will not be a big deal. for you to do it without you being nudged or without you being placed on demand. So please encourage yourself more. I so much believe that something big is coming on the way for you. So let this waiting period be a period by which you're building capacity for yourself. You are learning new things, you are growing, you are rediscovering yourself. So by the time that big opportunity come, it will meet you prepared and you'll see how you're going to fully blown and grab it. And maybe you are even the Madam Secretary or Madam President you've been waiting for in the United States. You never can tell. Okay, any other feedback? Okay. You're smiling. I'm being real. Yeah, okay. Comfort, you go ahead. Kind of mute.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shade, because I think from the very first day, because we didn't have the opportunity to join the class early, we've been going through the recordings of the classes that I missed. From the very first day, I listened to that particular session where she was sharing her experience her experience with the courses that she failed and eventually she was able to overcome it. I'm like, God, help me. I have to come out of this. I don't know if I put it in one of the assignments that I submitted. So talking about my experience with failure, I think similar to what she experienced. So maybe prior to that time, she has not failed before. So I similarly had not experienced failure, especially academically, coming up the elementary, secondary, university days, and I got to start writing professional exams, and I was like, God, why am I here? Like, it's also devastating. So I came to this last part of the professional exam, and repeatedly, I would take the course and be like, oh, I'll just take it one more time and I will skill try and I will move on and just get this done and leave it behind me. So repeatedly, to take the course again and to be like, the results will be like, God, what's going on? So at the point that I think 2 years ago, I decided to say, okay, I'll take this course, I'll put in all my energy, and I decided to say, okay, I'll volunteer to, I won't keep mute in class. I will contribute as much as I can in class. I will read ahead. I will, I will solve questions ahead of class. I will participate as much as I can, and I will also lead a study group where I will be teaching people this particular course. I did, and people could see that, and I was so like, oh, I think I'm on track. I think this time around. But eventually, wrote the exam, saw the result, like, God, I just told myself, I don't think I want to do this again. However, that, maybe that said, or maybe before I got to that point, I was already, maybe my mind has already, maybe I was already tired, even before I mentioned that to myself. But all I discovered is that after that time, I have not bothered. So our case is kind of motivating that she was able to, maybe because our case is a part of a degree, maybe, but mine is just standing out. It is a professional exam, so it's not a part. I'm not in a school that I need to fulfill it to. I need to fulfill it, right? But not that it's holding a particular degree like that. But I just thought to myself, and being kind of a foreign exam, it's already very expensive. So when you pay so much for an exam over and over again and you're not moving on, you're like, what's the point? Maybe I should just look in another direction. But I know that it's because I have this understanding that there's no abandoned projects. I don't do any abandoned project, but the truth is right now, I don't think the wise thing is to go back and pick up the exam because the funds that goes into it, you don't want to invest so much and come back with a failure or something like that. So that is my experience with failure. Then the last thing I want to say is about this volunteering and pro bono that doctor mentioned this evening, because it's been coming up over and over and over again in our sessions. More like about 5 of the sessions that we've had, the doctor will also mention things like volunteering. The day he talked about purpose too, that most of the people that he saw that were really, really making so much mark in their feet today started by volunteering. And I just thought to myself, I think is the way to go. I know I have a particular skills that, although not fully refined yet, but it's something that I'm so passionate about. It's in line on my career to trying to build the business around it. And I just tonight when we were talking that okay, it just clicked like come for just do this thing for free for some people in their businesses, just add value to some people using these particular skills, then to even help me to firm up my hands on it, then to get feedback from people, then I can now say, okay, through that, we don't know what God could do, then we can commercialize or we can make it a business. So that's what I want to share. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much for boldly sharing about your experience. And to be candid with you, I share your sentiments about your experience, and nobody can take that away from you. But hey, beyond Dr. Folashade's testimony, I think I should also encourage you with mine. Maybe I've not mentioned it in the past few sessions, but let me put this on this record so that when you're listening again, you always remind yourself that being in position where you are, and if I got over it, you can as well get over it. So far on my record, if I've not missed my counting, I think I have close to about 10 or 11 professional certifications, that I've attained, sat for and attained in the past almost about 15 years on average, meaning that every 14 months, at least I have one major certifications as a goal that I need to attain. And I've done that for the past 15 years. Guess what? Almost about 80% of these 10 or 11 certifications, I failed them not once, not twice, at least about 2 or 3 times that I've had attempts. Almost all, trust me. And I'm not missing words. Time will not permit me to be mentioning them. So some of them are very, very difficult. Some of them, they are just as simple as you even know that with your mindset, I'm passing this thing and the result will come out. You just see that it's failed and failed attempt, you know. But guess what? I never relented. I never gave up because I knew the reason why I purposely, they were not things that I just stumbled at in terms of, oh, let me just do it because friends were doing it. I intentionally sought for them. When I came across them, I knew that this aligned with my journey and I need to lay hands on them. So it became a major project for me that whatever it's going to take, I must lay my hands on it. And guess what? Each time I ended up achieving success and passing the exam, what I'm telling you is not a joke. Each time, not one, not two, not three, almost about 6 or 7 of them, each time, the moment I passed, I would just see that kind of acceleration and growth immediately. People who have passed before don't have those kind of acceleration, or maybe they don't even seek for those opportunities. Opportunity will just come, boom, boom. I'll just see that from passing, I become a faculty. From faculty, I become maybe some of them that will have retainership for further elaboration of the entire organization, blah, 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 and all of that. Like one, we're just about 4 or 5 faculty that is licensed to share and transfer the knowledge on behalf of the institution in the whole of Nigeria. Just about 4 or 5 of us. Meaning that there's nobody in this Nigeria that wants to be licensed on that particular certification that will not have to pass through one of the 4 or 5 of us. So this is how, when you are defining success, this is how impactful and how resonating success can be. So you know that you can't give up. You can't just give up, except if you are just doing it because, oh, my friend is doing it, or you're trying to compare with, oh, this one has this, let me have this, and all of that. That's one path. The other path is the moment I achieve it, opportunity will just start opening. Things that you've never seen before in the market, you just be seeing the stream. If you notice, I've been emphasizing about sustainability. In Nigeria currently, in my field as an architect, we have how many architects currently licensed? Let's just say, give or take, let's say about 11,000 architects that has been licensed right from 1960, the NIA, Nigerian Institute of Architects, was established. Look at the fraction of the people who are practicing in that industry. It's still like a green field for many of us who have dived in there. I can even count the number of us that I can call green architects in the whole of Nigeria, in the whole of West Africa. I was never taught in school. I didn't know anything about it. But just me passing my first sustainability exam, just like, oh, there's something called ESG. Oh, there's something called green buildings, blah, 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 and all of that. And that's just the transformation about my profession. So there's no way you will talk about sustainability practice in Nigeria in architecture in one way or the other. Even when you go online and you search, there's no way in one way or the other that you won't see my name pop up. There's no way. So this is what we mean when you try as much as possible to focus. I mean, you set goals. You see, those certification, the first challenge you're going to give to yourself if you're failing at any attempt is for you to define and refine your goals. Check the alignment. If it's strictly aligned, keep attempting. Even if it's going to be 7 times, keep attempting. Don't bother about the money. If it's purpose, money will always come. And you understand where the sources is coming from. It will always come, but make sure you don't give up, because quitters never win and winners never quit. So I'm going to rest it there. Thank you. Time is fast spent. I think.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we'll look forward to you sharing your success story.
I will.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry. I hope I'll be able to write a book on these 2 subjects very soon, because some other success stories that I need to share, people need to hear. I mean, some that you don't even know, Seth. I remember way back in school, maybe because you didn't meet me in school. Or I mean, I can't remember whether you met me in school. Some of the things I faced while I was in school and all of that, many people don't know, because you will never see it written over my face. Anytime I look back, I'm like, oh, Bola, you went through this. You went through this. Oh my God. And you came out, in flying colors. It can only be God. And with the mindset that I had, despite several names that lecturers will call you, are not serious. So, I mean, let's just keep all these things for another day, right? So that's it. And that's how I define success and, carry on the mindset along my journey. I hope you are going to embrace this as well, so that you can redefine your experience as you move on your life's journey. Okay, thank you. I think we're going to stop here. Time has gone. Please, if you have anything to share, feel free. You can post in the WhatsApp group. You can send an email to me. And we'll be able to leverage on your stories as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Good night.